Guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these tacos de birria or birria tacos, however you want to say it. Anyways, the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show you the type of meat that we got. We actually used a hanging tender. This type of meat, I don't think you could buy it at the store. David actually ordered it from National Beef, and so we had this in our freezer. We also went ahead and used some beef ribs that we had just to get some bone in there. The amount of meat that we had was about 5 to 6 pounds. I watched a lot of videos on how to make this birria, and I noticed that they used a lot of the boneless chuck roast, and you can use that. The reason we were using the hanging tender is because that's all we had at home, and we just went ahead and used it. It's beef, it worked, but we did add the ribs just because you do need some bone so that it could be more flavorful. Here you can see that I already put it into a pot. I'm going to be adding 1 onion, and then I added 7 garlic cloves. Okay, just make sure that you add water to cover the whole meat. I'm also going to be adding 2 bay leaves, and I'm also going to be putting the ingredients down below so that if you didn't catch everything, you can just look at the recipe or the ingredients that I have listed below. Alright guys, so this was actually the first time I ever made birria, ever. So I chose this pot to cook the meat in, but it ended up being too small. So here in a little bit, you're going to see that I switched it out for a different one. The next thing I did was I added some salt, and then now I'm going to cover it and I'm going to cook it. While I'm cooking that for a little bit, I'm going to show you the chiles that you're going to need. Okay, so the chiles, I used 10 of each. So I used 10 of the New Mexico and 10 of the Guajillo chile. And then I used about like maybe 6 or 7 of the Chile de Arbol. Here I'm showing you that you have to pretty much open up the chile, break it apart, tear it apart, however you want to do it. And then just take out the seeds. So it should look something like this. The type of chile that I'm cleaning right now is actually the New Mexico chili pod, which is my favorite. This one right here is a lot lighter, a lighter red, and this one is the Guajillo chile. I don't really use this one. The recipe that I was using said to use chile guajillo, so I went ahead and used it. It was a lot easier to clean, so that was pretty cool. Then these ones are the Chile de Arbol. Again, all you have to do is pretty much just take the stem off and then just add it in with the rest of the chiles. And here you see that they're all clean and ready for the next step. So see, as you can tell, I switched out the pot. The other one was clearly too small, so I went ahead and just grabbed a bigger one. Okay, so the next step for the chiles is you're going to put a little bit of oil in a skillet or pan, whatever, and you're just kind of gonna have to like fry the chiles just a little bit, just to give them a little bit more flavor. The recipe that I was looking at actually called for this, and I thought that the chile came out really good after this. But you gotta make sure that you're turning them ever so often, like literally like 10 seconds or less, because if you don't, they're going to burn, and you don't want that. So after I went ahead and fried all of my chiles, I saved the oil for the tacos later. Okay, so now that I was done frying the chiles, I went ahead and put some really hot water into the same bowl. I covered the chiles for about 30 minutes, and then I was ready for the next step. Okay, and as you can see, these are all the spices that you're going to be using for the chile. Again, I'm going to be listing them below. The chiles are ready. They have been sitting for 30 minutes, and I'm going to put them into the blender, and I'm going to add all the spices. I did add some of the water that was with the chile that was sitting for 30 minutes, and then I also added some of the caldo, or the broth, or whatever of the meat. And this is what your chile should look like. But before I added into the beef actually had been cooking for 2 hours before I added it. And I want to use the mesh colander, and I'm going to be using this so that I could separate the skin or any of the little spices that maybe didn't get blended correctly or well, whatever. Again, here you can see that I'm stirring it, and I'm going to be putting it into the pot with the meat, just like this. Okay, you gotta make sure that you're stirring it, making sure that you get all of the chile out. I added some more liquid in there. All I did was add some of the caldo or the broth from the meat into the mesh colander so that I can get all of the chile out. The rest of the stuff that was in the mesh colander, you're not going to need anymore. You're going to throw it away. And then I let the meat and the chile cook for another hour. Alright, so this is my favorite part because I love onions. Also, I love cutting onion. I've said it before, and if you've watched some of my other videos, you have seen that I've actually showed you how I like cutting my onion. And the person that I learned from or taught me how to cut the onion this way was Rachel Ray. I remember back in the day when I'd watch her show 30-minute meals with Rachel Ray, she always cut her onion the same way. As you can tell, I'm showing you that the onion has some lines going that way, and I like to kind of cut in that direction, just like this. And then I'm going to turn it around so I can get all of the onion cut the same way, and then I'm going to turn it again, and then I'm going to dice up the onion, just like that. Simple. So I remember whenever I was little as a kid, I didn't like to eat onion. I didn't like onion in my food. I'm sure that my mom would chop it up really little and put it into our food. Or if she was cooking beef or something, she'd put it into the beef, but I didn't like it. But I remember whenever I got pregnant with my oldest son, that's when I started craving onion, which was weird. But ever since then, I've really, really enjoy eating onion. I put it into my food that I cook. Basically, everything that I cook, I put onion in it. Do you like to put onion in your food? I love eating the onion in my pozole, in the tacos, basically almost anything that I can eat. All right, the next thing I'm going to be showing you that you're going to be needing one bunch of a cilantro, and you're going to chop it up nice and small, and you're going to go ahead and mix it and stir it in with the onion so that you can use it to put into your tacos later. Just like this. Okay, the next thing I'm going to be cutting are some limes. The limes are if you want to add some lime into your tacos, or if you just want to eat some birria in a bowl, you can squeeze some lime into it. It gives it some really good flavor. I like to kind of press and roll the lime a little bit to get it a little bit juicier, and then I cut the lime into some wedges so that I can use them for later, just like this. Alright guys, so the birria has been cooking for a total of 3 hours, and this is what it looks like. It came out very, very delicious, guys. The meat was very tender. It was easy to just pull apart. Here in a little bit, I'm going to show you that we took out all of the beef, put it in a bowl, and then David actually started to chop it up, and we noticed that if you just it kind of just started falling apart by itself, and it was easier to just pull it apart. So instead of using the knife, we ended up just, well, actually he ended up using his hands and just tearing it apart. I think we should have maybe waited a little bit because as you can tell, there's steam coming up. The meat was very, very, very hot, so I kind of felt bad. But we were so hungry and we wanted to try it so bad. So he was using his hands, and he went ahead and just put on another glove so that he could just pull it apart just like this. And then the next thing we did after we pulled everything apart, I keep saying we, and it wasn't we, it was just David pulling the meat apart. I'm sorry. Okay, so after he was done shredding the beef apart, pulling it apart, we went ahead and put it back into the pot with the chile, and we let it soak up and cook just a little bit more. Honestly, I think it was like maybe 20 to 30 minutes, and then it was time to make our tacos. But I just want to show you here real quick that the meat did come out very, very good. As you can see, we're stirring it around so that you can see that the meat came out perfect, just the way we wanted it to come out. So I went ahead and took some out and poured some into a bowl so that you guys could see how you can eat it. Honestly, all you have to do is add the cilantro and the onion, and then squeeze some lime, and then there you have it. You can eat your birria just like this if you don't want to make it into a taco. But just eating it like this is already yummy enough. Alright, we're ready for our tacos. This is the type of cheese that I'm going to be using for our tacos today. I got it at Walmart, and this is a very important step. So it was very hard for me to get the tacos like a red color. So what I had to do was basically run the tortilla across the top of the caldo, and this made it that red color. It was a fail the first time I did it. This is probably like the second round of tacos that I had made, because the first time that I tried recording, it just splashed everywhere. And the reason I was doing that was because I think I was getting a lot of the caldo into the oil and it was splashing everywhere. But I had to just basically go into the pot and take my tortilla and just run it across the fat that's above all of the broth or the caldo. And then what I'm doing is I let it cook or fry on one side for a little bit. Honestly, probably like 45 seconds. I flipped it and then I went ahead and added some cheese. You can use whatever type of cheese you want. I've seen a lot of people use Oaxaca cheese, but this one I just went ahead and bought at Walmart. It was a quesadilla cheese, and I wanted my tacos to be very cheesy, so I put a lot of cheese. And then the next thing I did was I went and grabbed some of the beef and added it into my taco. You just honestly have to be very careful. Try not to get the beef on the oil, like in the oil, because if you do that, it's going to splash everywhere and it's going to hurt. So you got to be careful. Here I am flipping the tortilla and making it into the taco that it is. And you honestly just leave it in the oil as long as you want, depending on how crunchy you want it. I kept flipping mine, but if you leave it, let it cook on one side for a minute and then flip it and let it cook for another minute. It just depends on how high you have your oil. It will turn it into a crunchy taco or it'll be a soft taco. It just depends. I was using a spoon to help take it out and put it into a plate, just like this. And then that is how I made my tacos. Now we're ready to add some cilantro and onion into our taco. And honestly, just by looking at this video, I'm getting hungry again. I forgot to mention one thing right before I started frying the tacos. I forgot to mention that the oil that I was using was the oil from the beginning, from whenever I was frying the chiles. Remember that oil? I forgot to say that that is the oil that you could be using to fry your tacos, and that can also be giving it some extra flavor and also maybe making your tacos a little bit redder, just because the oil is already colored or tinted, whatever. And then here I am adding some lime into my tacos. Honestly, I was very, very impressed by the way the birria came out. This was actually my first time making it. I did see a lot of different recipes, but I just kind of made it my own. It's simple, doesn't call for a lot of different ingredients, but yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. And again, thank you for watching. Bye!